Hello, it is me, Tyronium. I'm here in Minecraft Bedrock Edition for my third time recording this tutorial because I can't. Okay, for some reason, I can't get the recording to work. I recorded that door and my mic was off, and I recorded this one and the recording didn't work. So, yeah, but this is just 540 blocks, 5 by 5. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna go back to first person and then we're gonna build it. So, I'm just gonna like this. We got our layout, 5 blocks up, door frame. I'm actually gonna do this because I like to for some reason. Um, I don't know why, but sometimes I do chiseled quartz as my door and quartz as my hallway, but not always, and I don't really know why. But okay, and then we got just I'm not even on this side. I thought I was on. Okay, I just gotta make sure something. Okay, so piston up like this. And then we're gonna go up to the top, piston down. That, and then we're going to have our storage blocks right here. But before we place in our door blocks, place those observers just for later because I don't want to do it right now. And that should be our whole layout. Then for our pushers, our observer pushers, we're just gonna place those in because they're kind of hard to get in if you place them later. That, and then this is just an input. So yeah. Um, Now for our inputs, we're gonna have one right here, one right here, and one right here. Then we're gonna have one piston facing up, wool blocks, not wool. We want wool in the middle. Then immovables, these can be any solid immovables, so lodestone, obsidian, etc. I don't actually know what more there is, but before I place the redstone torches here, we want this to be off right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in its power source, which is technically also an input, so I just leave it in light. Shoot, I should drop her facing up, drop her facing down, and then we're going to put a comparator in there. Read it with a comparator, so see it's on now, so now we can go in and place our redstone torches. Alright, cool. And then other inputs, we need this input, we need some rails. I keep missing some rails. We need some, I don't know, I don't think there's any more inputs. There actually doesn't need to be blocks there, I just realized. Yeah, then we're gonna have observers facing up. Then, what I'm gonna do is go, or actually, I don't need to give myself barriers, but we're gonna need solid blocks here, but for sake of explanation, I won't have them right now. So let's do some sequencing. So first, we're gonna extend, I'm gonna use a redstone. We're gonna extend these, then push up these, like that. Let's try to get lucky. Uh, Close. So 1 and 8, so let's just keep gambling. That doesn't, I didn't know that. That's a P-tick apparently. Come on. 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 Dude, it's not even a attempt to work. I'm lazy. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And then push this. No, not that. Push this. Frick. I'm so smart, guys. Push this. Then we're gonna push this, and then that, and then this. And then we're gonna run our triple. And since there's no blocks here, it won't do last traction. So yeah. Then opening this. Um, so push this over, do this, pull, then this and that, then this, and then run the triple to pull the blocks back down. All right, awesome. Then top is basically the same thing. We're just gonna pulse these, basically the exact same sequence for the storage. Pulse these again, then we're gonna run our triple, retract our storage, run our triple again. So yeah. And the reason we can run the triple twice instead of having to do like a double on the first time or something is because um, the triple on the bottom actually pushes up one extra block, and that allows us to fire the triple again because the blocks will be one block out of reach, but then they'll get pushed back up, and then the triple can come grab them. So yeah, let's start building the door. Do I want to color code it this time? Good question. Not really, but I will anyway, just for you guys. So this is our input. Right, we got our input. So first thing we need to do is we need to turn these on, then send a pulse through these. So we're gonna have a hopper clock because we love hopper clocks. What level's on? Okay, it is. This block needs to be there. So then we're gonna have a hopper going into that one, and then a hopper going into this one. And we're gonna have a torch. We're gonna have a piston facing down, a torch here, and a torch here, and then a dust. And then this is glass. Comparator into a door frame block. So and I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in the corners right now, just because it's a little bit easier to reach everything. All right. So I'm sorry, I'm really tired. I've done this. It's my third time here. It's awesome, except for it's actually not. So I'm just gonna go ahead and real quick, since this needs to be at least a signal strength of 2, we're gonna grab our spoon and put a spoon in there. And that'll go over to the other hopper. So we can see that I'm just gonna break this block for a sec. Flick that, turns on, flip that, turns off. And we actually want on the closing it to turn on quickly, but on the opening for it to turn on slowly. So how we do that is we're gonna have an amount of items. I don't actually know. I think it's a spoon, then 11, then a spoon. Yeah, but we don't need that right now, so I'll do it later. So we need a pulse through this, but we only want to fire the top pistons. So how do we do that? We're gonna do it with a slider. So if we time it just right, we can push the bottom row over and have that. If we push the bottom row over at the right time, we can have these pistons be moving when these get powered. So only the top ones will go, and we don't have the bedrock randomness as a factor. So that's great. So I'm gonna. This is the cyan one. So gonna have some dust, block the signal. Then dust over here. And the timing for this is going to be a 2-tick repeater. I don't actually know how that timing works. I kind of just tested until it did. So then this into a 2-tick repeater, into an observer, just like that. Yeah. So what we should see, if I actually was smart enough to hook it up, so this powers this piston, this one powers this piston, and this block. So we're going to take repeater output into a block with dust. So now we should see, if I break these observers, we get that. And we want this to be returned, so I'm just going to go ahead and go like this, and that's how we return it. And make sure if you're testing the door to always return this piston, because it'll break if you don't. And sometimes it can break really quite badly, so we don't really want that. So now what we want is this to extend on the closing, and then on the opening, pulls through this piston when it's here, pull this back, and then pulls through this piston. So how we're going to get that, we're going to have a torch, some repeaters, then we're going to run this into, oh my goodness, observer, grab a copper bulb into a redstone lamp, just so we can get observer output. And we're going to run this observer down and around and up to this one. So if we go ahead and close the door, we'll see it waits a while, then we get this extension. Now all we need is the extension here. And how we can get that is just by placing observer facing up there. Then we're going to run a one tick repeater facing that way into there, and there we go. So we should see pulls back, and then pulls back. And that's exactly what we want. So yeah, return this, and let's move on to this side. So over here, we have this, and then this is going to be a 4-tick repeater. And then we're going to have to power this piston to pulse this 3-tick repeater into a regular piston facing this way into redstone torch. And so when this retracts, we'll get a pulse through here. And if I go ahead and test this right now, you'll see that that goes way too early, right? So how do we make it later? Well, we actually don't at all. Like, we don't need to. We can just place an immovable right here and just make the sides go fast enough that before this turns on, all the sides are out, which means this full column's here, and then there's an immovable up here. Bruh, Google, I don't care, bro. Alright, and how we do that is this dust is going to go into this block, into this torch. Piston facing down, torch, torch. Then we're going to go block, block, block. Doot, doot, doot. There we go. That's fast enough that this one gets blocked by the immovable up there. So yeah. Now we just need another pulse through this. How we get that is this, 2-tick repeater, then this. So if I go ahead and test that, doot, doot, we get this, then that. Now, break that for a sec. Pretty much, we want this, and then we want to pulse through here. And how we can get that is observer, then observer up. And that'll actually fire on both edges, but it doesn't really matter because the first time it fires, it'll get blocked by this. So I actually don't know why it didn't even go, and I still don't know why, but I'm too lazy to figure it out. So yeah, boom, boom. Oh, well, sometimes it goes, I guess, but it doesn't matter because it's early enough that the other one is in time. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's our full storage, and we should see um, a almost full closing, I guess. So like this, and then that's what we want, because then we'll fire our triple, and this, and then we'll fire the triple. So the triple, how we're going to activate it is by powering this top dropper, and we actually have quite a lot of space to do it. We actually don't have that much, but don't need that much, so whatever. So if we fire this, which I'm actually going to do in purple, then this turns off, which makes these torches turn on, which fires this, and so that'll be our first thing, and then we want it to turn off at some point also. So once that turns on, we need a long pulse through this line, because remember there are going to be observers here. And how we get the long pulse is we just observe these pistons, Then we're going to do a redstone lamp, observer, redstone lamp, up, break this, over, put this back, vortex repeater. And the cool thing about this setup is, for whatever reason, alternating redstone lamps and observers for 2 redstone lamps gives a 8-tick pulse, which is long enough to do a double piston extension. So, pretty easy way of getting that in there. Kind of looks like observer spam. Kind of is observer spam. I don't care that much. So, yeah. Then we're going to observe this vortex repeater firing, which will also return this. Doesn't really matter when this gets returned as long as it does. So, we kind of just do it whenever. Then this is going to go over to turn this off. So if I send a pulse through this, we see we get that, and then this retracts back. Now all we need is they pulse through this, and we already have the top pulse because of this. Boom, boom, retract, then, yeah. And how we're gonna get that last pulse is break this, go over, go up. I wish you could just do what you can do in Java and just look in the direction, but can't. Uh, I can't do it. I can't place it. I'm trying my hardest. Oh, wait, I can shimmy in here. Okay, and then vortex repeater. And then we're just gonna spam ops. Because yes. So, that should be our triple. If we test it, we can see it goes boom, boom. And those fire twice, but they still get retracted. So, it doesn't matter. Now what we need to do is just get a pulse into this, and how we do that is take an output from this 2-tick repeater into a sticky piston, observer facing up, purple thing right there. Good job. We made a functioning bottom circuit. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. And then that'll get pushed down by the top, so this gap doesn't matter. And then we're going to get pushed down, and then, oops, we should see that. And then this pushes up, get some spasm going on. And yeah. And now we want that delay, so we're just gonna place our 11, it was, please, 11. Then we need another spoon just for signal strength. Didn't make it. Anyway, just one more spoon in there, and I'm gonna put it in there. And bang, that is our 540 blocks 5x5 bottom circuit done. Now let's build the top circuit. So we're gonna need a torch here, piston facing inward with a torch on it. And you see when this is off, this torch is, okay, I didn't break anything. So when this is off, this torch is also off. So when it's on, it's closed. So we want observer this to extend, giving a solid immovable a pulse with a rail on it. So we just get our first move of the closing. And I'm just going to go ahead and lock the bottom. This is the solid block I have right now, so I'm just gonna use it. So we should see. Doop. Awesome. And we still got a pulse through here, so break this observer, and I need to remember to replace it because last time I blocked the bottom, I forgot to replace it, and the whole door was breaking, and I was like, why is it broken? No, it's just because I was dumb. So yeah, we get a pulse like that. Hooray. Then we want what what color is the circuit even? There's like no wiring box here for the closing. So then oh, storage is in blue. We're doing the storage. We want a torch with a sticky piston with a resin block. I don't know why I keep replacing it with the wrongest thing in my inventory. This is gonna be a 3-tick repeater, 4-tick repeater. I'm having trouble doing anything today. I'm very sorry about that, but it's fine. We're gonna have a piece of dust, and since that's a dust cross, it's gonna power this block, power this block. This block will power this piston, and this block will power this, so we can get a pulse through here. And then this block, we're gonna have an observer going to this block, so that we get power to this piston when it's over here. And if we break this and put a lever right there, we can see it work right there. Bam, bam, bam. And that's really fast because, yes, I don't know. But this is the exact same circuit for my 576, and it works wonderfully. So, yeah, we're going to take an output from this into a redstone block. We're going to have a 2-tick repeater into a block with a torch. So this is going to be another hopper clock, which we love hopper clocks, and they're awesome. This time we're going to have exactly 7 items in it. Nope, that's all my comparators. That is all of them. And we're actually not going to have this comparator here. We're going to have a block. And then we're going to read it through there. Then we're just going to have a piston because we need a torch on it, but um, piston underneath, so it doesn't really work. And this is going to connect to this piston. So we're going to have a block observer facing down with redstone dust on it. So yeah, and we need to pulse through this first. And how do we get that? Well, we can actually just get it from over here. So I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna go like this and spam observers because yes, I love. I'll spam. We're gonna go like this and then that and that. Just gonna give this pulse after this move of the closing. So we should see blap, and then we get a pulse, and then after we wait a while for the bottom, we're gonna get blap and blap. Now I just need one more pulse through this, and how we get that is by putting a target block right there, and it just works. So yeah, and then this, and then it retracts fully. So and that'll go again on the opening, but actually it won't because it'll get blocked by something. Oh yeah, on the opening it's already powered from this dust, so it won't do anything. So now we're gonna put a torch on this. Forgot how many ticks this repeater is on. It's on 2. Into a redstone lamp. So this observer is going to detect the lamp turning off on the closing, then send our last move through the top. So we see blap, and then we get that blap. So now we need to get a pulse through this, or not a pulse, we need a triple. And then we're gonna do that, and then blap blap. So now all we have left is pretty much to just wire up the triple. And I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, so I just did that. Yeah, cool. Triple. Let's do it. So we're gonna go up from this, and then the triple circuit was in green. So do I need anything in this inventory? No, let's just have some droppers because I need them later. Sticky piston. So this will be powered on the closing, and that's why this gets blocked on the opening. So we can just take an output from this observer line. This is going to go into a hopper, and so place a block under it, place the hopper so it looks awesome. Because I hate sideways hoppers, they're gross. Um, but I don't need glass. I need wiring blocks though. So now I'm gonna go like this, one tick repeater, like this, and that should give a pulse through this. Then we're gonna go to observers into some droppers, and then I'm gonna break this for a second. Do this comparator. So I'm gonna break that, put a comparator. So you can go ahead and break this, and put a comparator, put a observer, 3-tick repeater, observer facing up. And that'll read when this item comes down to here. This will turn on and then send the item back up. But since this observer is powering this, which is a solid block, it'll send a pulse through this, and then in the same tick, it'll power a pulse through this, which will send the item back down, which is not what we want. So we're going to have this permanently powered by a redstone torch on this observer, which will actually turn on. So it's not a problem. Now we're going to, the easiest way in creative to do this is to just, I wonder if items get sucked down in hoppers. You can tell I don't do like sorters and stuff. Does it get sucked down or sucked to the side? Where did it go? Even. What the what? My spoon disappeared. Should have gone to this hopper and then somewhere. Oh, it missed. So it's gonna go into the bottom one. So we're just gonna 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then they should be all just getting set up to here. And some of them are missing because they hate me. So now this one should be full. And then now we need 7 items in here. 7 more. 2, 3. They're all missing. Stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, 8, not 7. I did too many. Oops, one too many. That's a reference, guys. Okay. So this is on. We need it to be off right now. And how we do that? So we're going to place a block, place a comparator. Then we're going to read through this piston because it can do that for some reason. I don't actually know why. I'm going to read a full hopper. So we're going to get 5 more spoons. And I think I missed all of those. Oh, no, I didn't. And put them in this hopper. Doesn't matter if this hopper is getting powered anytime or not because it doesn't do anything. So now this is off. So when this gets powered, which it will by this observer, like that, then we get a long enough pulse through this, which is awesome. So now, if we go ahead and activate, I can put a lever on this, and we get this, and then that pulls back. Now we want to pulse through these rails, and how we can do that is place a rail block on a block down like this, and then we're going to just go around like this, and then observer like that. And that's the correct timing. I'm gonna just mess around until it works, so. Except not, because I forgot redstone dust. Hooray. So, yeah, all we need to do is send a long pulse through this, and that'll do that retraction too. And then send a pulse through this, then send a pulse through this. Which is easier said than done. How we're going to do that is, the reason this is dust, we're actually going to have a dropper facing into a hopper. This hopper will get powered by this dust line. Stop. Okay, so this hopper will get powered by this dust line. So this dropper won't get its item back for a second or something. Then I don't want to replace these later, so I'm just going to go like this and this, which we need, because I spend ops, because I love observer spin. Shoot. Yeah, and then you gotta place a comparator facing reading this into a vortex repeater block with a torch. Then we're gonna have this observer line vortex repeater. So that should give us our long pulse through this line. Then we get that. Now we just need a pulse through the rails, which we can get from this observer line. Like, stop, like, dude, like so. And then I'm gonna take a redstone lamp output and then get a 3-tick repeater into a block, and that's just our last 2 pulses. And I kind of just tried stuff until it worked. And hooray, that's our triple. And speaking of that's our triple, I think that's the whole door. So if we go ahead and unlock the bottom by placing this observer and breaking this, then we're gonna fill in our door frame. And I'm stupid, so I didn't have blocks here. So yeah, we can close it. And I did not mean to sync up those moves, but it kind of just happened to do that. Should have worked. Anyway, since that should have worked, but it didn't. Oh, oh, it shouldn't have. There should be 7 items in here. Ah, yes, I'm breaking everything. There should be 7 items in there, and I don't know why there were 6, but it broke everything. So, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, okay. So the 7 items should give us enough delay to push those down. Yeah. And the reason we do 7, we can do 6 if we set this to 4 ticks, but that makes the opening slower, so do 7. My original solution was really funny. I actually just had, I just want to watch this. I actually had just a line of repeaters just going across the top of these pistons. Like I had a 4 tick repeater, then a block of 4 tick repeater, then a 4 tick repeater, then a 4 tick repeater, and then a 4 tick repeater. And that was really funny, but it's kind of bad. And it also kind of didn't work. And I had a fix for it working, which was observer facing down here, observer over, observer up into a copper bulb, into a comparator, and then you kind of just run the line across, which was also scuffed and also stupid, but it was like slow as crap. So I moved it. I can show you that solution. It's really funny. So if I go like this, I'm gonna do it on which door do I like the least? They're all the same door, by the way, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I do want this to be on, so I'm just gonna place a redstone block, actually, just like that. Oh, I do need it to be redirected though. It actually shouldn't matter, I don't think. So I'm just gonna show you my previous solution, which is really funny. Um, was to do this and then that and then that, and then you don't need that. You can do this, and this is still a 1 tick repeater, and then you can do comparator output, and then this is the best wiring ever. So yeah, this works. This works if it's on the right thing, but there's like a redstone block here, and then this needs to be off right now. So yeah, and then makes the opening slow as balls though. So yeah, that was my original solution. But yeah, you can see it works. But we can also see that we have to wait about 1 million years. So yeah, that's why I didn't go with that. It is really funny though, because in a door this compact, you would not expect to see line of 4 tick repeaters, but lo and behold, I'm pretty sure in my 576 there's also just line of repeaters, which is really funny. yeah, I went with this instead. I kind of took this concept from Emmanuel's door because he's smarter than me, and this is what he did. So, but I don't really care because if I knew I could put a hopper clock here, I probably could have come up with the same thing. So yeah. Anyway, Minecraft Steve, he blinks because it's bedrock. Yeah, this is a door. If you like it. Yeah, cool. I'm very tired, if you couldn't tell. So I hope this made sense. And if you like the door, then you should tell me in the comments or something. I don't know, man. Just do whatever you want.